Surrender, 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 surrender. You start the war, surrender. You've gone too far, surrender. From slavery days, they've been kidnapping Africans and putting on slave ships, it happened. Breaking and entering the motherland gate, stealing facts, artifacts, grave robbing. Allies from other countries that were aiding and abetting don't want return motherland things. They rap doctrine, them don't overstand, holding our truth hostage and identity thieving. Them criminal, subliminal, and criminal. Them criminal, incriminate, so criminal. Attempted murder with intent to kill their food and water, slow poison them, kill more as them shoot to kill, vicious virus shots firing at arm and dangerous shooting. Pointy shot shooting, hitman Babylon, hit and run, genocide and gun, hate homiciding, deciding to kill joy with pain. Ghetto target practicing and inmates experimenting. So you got the right to remain silent. Them criminal, subliminal, and criminal.
Shalom and welcome to another Friday Night Live.
Greetings, loved ones, in the name of our King, and welcome back again. Thankful to the Most High for His loving kindness and His tender mercies, allowing us to be here to broadcast a special double issue tonight. I'm not gonna stay long talking and get right into it. But for some reason, Ella just disappeared.
Ella's gone.
So we're gonna go ahead and have a word of prayer, and then we'll get started. All right, so greetings to those of you who are down in the Caribbean. Shalom, shalom to the family. Oh, here goes Elder. To the Mishpachah down in South and Central America. Shalom to each and every one of you. To the Mishpachah right here in these uncertain states of America. Greetings to each and every one of you. To the families across the border in Canada. Canada. Oh, Canada. You might be getting some guests pretty soon. Who knows? Some guests from Iran. Anyway, to the Mishpachah over in the UK, in Africa, the Middle East, Europe, the Far East, and every island of the sea, we greet you all by saying shalom. Happy Friday Night Live and greetings in the name of our King. With that said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Elder is going to render tefillah in the name of our King as we all face towards Jerusalem.
Hallelujah. All praises to the Most High. Heavenly Father, we thank you for spending our lives during the hours of the night. We thank you for today. You protect us throughout the day, driving out and come back home safe to our jobs, shopping. Father, we give you thanks and praise. Bless us all. We present to you at this time those that are not feeling well. We ask your healing upon them, that thou may heal them from the crown of the head to the sole of the feet. We thank you for all of us that come tonight to listen to your words, Father, from our teachers, Brother Yana, Brother Oshe, as they come together, Brother Kifa, to present the words and the reading. We ask your blessing upon all of us as we gather together. Bless us, guide us, protect us throughout the service. We ask you to speak to our teachers and through them, for them, and bless them. Let the words come out fluently, that our readers and our teachers will do their part and your blessing will be upon them, and we all will receive it. Because we love you and we thank you. Through your Son, Yeshua, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Elder.
Hallelujah.
So tonight, family, we have a special war edition. As we have been talking about preparations for many years now, and we have given you many classes exposing different aspects of what's going on in the world. I think it's fitting for us to also spend some time tonight. Brother Shay, he was preparing some things, and I was also preparing some stuff. And when he sent me his notes, and I looked at my notes, it's like, okay, we have to do something together. So he's going to take the first half of sharing some things of importance, and then I will take the balance of it, and we will look at what is happening in the world and why these things are so important for us to stay abreast. So without further ado, Brother Shay, shalom and welcome.
Shalom, shalom, Mishpachah. Yes, drums of war, because we all are at war, and for many of us, we may not believe so, because you may be in the comforts of your home, wherever you are. But yes, everyone is at war right now, not realizing that what's happening here is bigger than what they're telling you. And we have to really sit back and watch and pray and be very, very vigilant in these times that we're living in. Now we're going to begin. Now, this Ella, I'm going to have you say another word of prayer. On this screen here, it says a moment of silence. I want to start off by having a special prayer on the behalf of all our people who are scattered, especially those who are in the war zone. Because it says, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And Jerusalem itself right now is not where it is as they say it is. But I believe it's a part of all of us, all of Israel, that are all over the place, under every nook and cranny that you would call it. The Most High has put us there for a purpose. One of those purposes is to sustain our lives. It's like, spreading the hiding us as gems, as part of the punishment also. But a lot of our people are in the war zones currently, and a lot of wickedness is going on. So let's have Ella open up with another word of prayer on the behalf of our people who are there right now.
Our Father in heaven, we thank you, we praise you again that we can present ourselves again tonight on the behalf of our families throughout the four corners, especially those that are in the war zone, the war area, where disasters and killing and all sorts of things are happening. Father, I pray on the behalf of the house of Israel that thou may reach down your blessing, your protection upon the lives of our people throughout the war in Israel, Iran, and different places, even here in the United States. Wherever those things are happening, we pray that thou may send your holy angels and protect your children from the hands of the enemy, and allow everything to be well with them, the little ones and the big ones, and every family. Bless each and every one of us and guide them tonight, because we love you, we thank you, we praise you, because we ask it through your Son Yeshua, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Allah.
Thank you, Allah. Yes, Mishpachah. War will hit every country around the world. Now, I'll put some pictures on here just to kind of set the tone, because this is not a laughing matter where you may think, you see in a movie or you watch on a show or in some far distant country. But this is a very serious and sad thing, because lives are wasted and lives are being lost. And the enemy understands this. And within this conflict, our people are all around. And the Most High will protect his people, but only those who keep the commandments. We have to be very vigilant in these times and keeping the commandments. And as you look at the pictures, you can see children are the ones mostly affected in all of this. And these are different pictures from over the generations of different wars, from past to current wars that are going on in every country. On the news, they won't show you stuff like this. They will just say, oh, this is happening there, because the news itself is also being controlled by those in the higher places. So they will put out what they want to put out, keep the masses distracted, while people are in different places suffering. And this is something that we ourselves have to be very careful of and prepare. This is why we're talking about the shalom life for such a while now, because the Most High is preparing for his people in these last days. So yes, war will hit every country around the world. So don't think that because you're in your living room sitting down in air conditioned, or at work at a cozy job in your cubicle, or in your vehicle out eating dinner, or wherever you are right now, that things are going to be okay.
I'm sure a lot of folks, September 11th, 2001, that were getting their morning coffee or were sitting comfortable at their computer getting their day started when the buildings collapsed. And people lost their lives. And not just that, those buildings, but everyone else around that area that had to take off running. See, when disaster hits, it doesn't tell us, it doesn't, hello,
I'm coming in.
please evacuate. Something is about to happen. It doesn't always work like that. Sometimes the Most High may pull you or have a phone call to get you out or something. Yeah. Like Brother Shea said, this is not a movie. This is real reality.
The rise of the beast. This war is nothing but a front to gain power and bring all leaders under one roof. This is the main objective. So you're going to see a lot of friction going on with certain countries, but it's just to bring in that beast system that we read about in Revelation chapter 13. This is the main goal for these wars that we are currently witnessing. Once the beast system is put into action, listen carefully, Mishpachah, we will have a false peace that will fool many of our people into believing and rejoicing or rejoining the heathen. This is what we don't want, because the Bible tells us that if it were possible, even the very elect could be deceived. And it will come down to, to different situations and scenarios in various locations that you will be tested. Your faith will be tested. And it's up to you to either lean on the Most High and His words, His laws, statutes, and commandments, and accept what is happening around you, or you're going to fold like a cheap tent and accept whatever they're giving you. Just like the test they had with the vid. That was a global test, and many failed. Okay? So the question is, Mishpachah, are you going to sell out for comfort? Are you going to be the one because it's too hot, you have no power, you have no electricity, you have no running water like you would normally have in your home, in your taps? Are you going to be the one selling out for money? Because your job says, if you don't accept this, you can't work. Are you going to sell out for food or just to survive? Are you willing to snitch on your own brothers and sisters? This is the question, because we have a lot of brothers and sisters who would say out of their mouth, yes, the Most High is my everything. I will do everything. And as soon as a little heat hit the fan, they run to the corner and they start giving up. And this is what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to strengthen each other. We're trying to prepare our people, because none of us can do this by ourselves without the Most High, His hand covering us. Okay?
That's right.
We're going to start with the book of 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verses 11.
It says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. And the sorrow that I'm referring to is the tribulation, the ending where we are headed to, where the prophecies have told us what will happen. Remember, the book is giving us everything that we need to know. It's up to us to follow. So again, you will have certain Hebrews, okay, that I call them Judas spirited Hebrews. You see the picture of the Judas goat guy there? We have to take this thing very seriously, because amongst us all, there are many Judas spirited Hebrews that will tell you, yes, I'm with you. And as soon as something happens, they're the ones calling, snitching out, selling out, and giving up. All for a loaf of bread, for a paycheck, or for the comforts of some air condition or whatever lavish lifestyle that they have. Okay? Your children get threatened and you give up. The Most High is the one who gave you those children. There's plenty of examples, but we're not going to talk about that too much tonight. I just wanted to set the stage so we could have an understanding that we have to be prepared, Mishpachah. Shalom, Kifa. Shalom, shalom.
Matthew 24, verses 8 and verses 10.
All these are the beginning of sorrows.
Go ahead, verse
And
10.
then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another.
So our Hamashiach already told us, Mishpachah, this is just the beginning of the tribulation. That a lot of our people will be offended because they're going to say, "Oh, you think you're better than us?" No, we're just following the Torah. We're just keeping it real. We're keeping the Torah. We're following the law, statutes, and commandments. And it says, "Many shall be offended and shall betray one another." So do not be one of those Judas-spirited Hebrews. Okay. Remember, taking the mark is the final step. The question is, will you take the mark? Because these drums beat loudly around you. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, because this is what's happening. There are wars happening, and then there are rumors of wars that are occurring. Same thing our Messiah spoke about is happening right before our eyes. And those drums of war are beaten very loud. So are you going to be the ones to buckle and take the mark? Revelation chapter 13 and verses 7.
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
So don't get it twisted and think that just because you see the war in the so-called Middle East, that is going to stay in the Middle East. It says power was given unto him, that beast system, over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Because again, these wars are just preparing to bring all of these leaders under one roof. And a lot of them are going against it because they know what the prophecy is saying, and they're fighting against a lot of these things. Fight for power is real. All right, let's read Revelations chapter 13, verses 9, 13, 14, 16, 17, and 18.
If any man have an ear, let him hear.
Uh-huh.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth, by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beasts, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, and had the wound by a sword, and did live. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom.
Here's wisdom.
Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
And we all understand what this is saying. Again, this is written here for our learning. This is written here for our salvation, because it's a warning that's going out. We have no excuse whatsoever. In time past, you talked about brothers and sisters who talk about, yeah, they'll take the mark and all kinds of stuff. But when it boils down to it, Mishpachah, the question is, are you going to be the ones serving the Most High, or are you going to serve this beast system? If any man have an ear, let him hear. So this is the warning before the class begins, because again, war is coming to all of us, whether we like it or not.
You know, it's funny. A lot of the players in this particular war right now are connected to the same tech industry that you're mentioning. Those same people who are involved in creating those microchips and stuff, they have huge investments in the wars between all parties. So yeah, this war has a lot to do with the mark of the beast. Let's put it like that. It has a lot to do with it.
All right, we have several videos to get into. I'm gonna play the first video for the night. It's a compilation of videos I put together, so fair use, so we can learn and see what is happening around the world. Now, this is not any kind of scare tactics or anything. This is just letting us know what's going on, prepare ourselves, be vigilant, making the proper decisions, getting your families and your houses in order, and so forth, okay? And we see the lies of these Confederates.
The Bible says that there is a time for peace and a time for war. לעולם לא נשכח את מעשי הזוועה שעשו לנו אויבינו. אנחנו הולמים באויבינו בעוצמה חסרת תקדים. אני מדגיש, זאת רק ההתחלה.
It's only the
They've
beginning.
made a mistake of historic proportions. We will exact a price that
Now, I'll pause it here real quick. I'm not going to talk too much through the videos, but just look at this destruction. Look at the neighborhoods that you live in, the counties, the towns, the cities that you live in, and just picture you going outside and seeing this around you.
A lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of people have never really firsthand experienced this, but those who live in that part of the world, make it bigger.
Make it bigger, okay.
Yeah, the green. And those who live like in Ukraine and certain places. So you don't even see this type of destruction with hurricanes.
No, I mean, a tornado and a hurricane is probably the closest thing that you'll see in a natural disaster. This is a man-made disaster. Yes, Ima, shalom.
Shalom, brethren.
Shalom,
when I
Ima.
see this, what comes to my mind is that Yasser, they build up and he'll break down. But he of himself is not put on it like in a disaster. He's putting them one another to break down what they're building up.
Yeah. All right, let's continue the video.
will be remembered by them and Israel's other enemies for decades to come.
And we are just getting this in and want to bring it to you. It is the president's latest Truth Social. We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. We have complete control. Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment, and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived, and manufactured stuff, he says. I told them to sign. What a shame and waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Now, within the slides I have that we're going to go through, you're going to see how they're playing both sides. This is a chess game going on the big stage, and the players are just making their moves. And behind the scenes, these people, behind closed doors, a lot of them are friends, and they make a lot of decisions that's going on. And you see this tweet that he put out, or this quote that he put out here. When we get into the slides, you'll see how is opposite of what was going on from before.
He said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran.
Iranian state TV was live on air, the anchor sounding defiant, when suddenly Israel bombed the building. Israel saying it was targeting Iran's propaganda mouthpiece. Though late today, the station was back on air, that anchor seen in another location. Still, the message to Iranians could not have been clearer. Israel can hit where and when it chooses. Israel announcing today it had achieved full aerial superiority in the skies over Tehran during day 4 of Israel's operation targeting Iran's nuclear program. These before and after images showing damage at multiple Iranian nuclear sites. Israel has also dealt a major blow to Iran's military, killing a number of its top generals. But NBC News confirmed President Trump nixed an Israeli plan to kill Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, according to a U.S. official. Today, Prime Minister Netanyahu would not rule it out in the future, saying the assassination would end the conflict, not escalate it. Iran is promising to respond with the most powerful missile bombardments in Israel's history. According to Israel, Iran has fired some 350 missiles at Israel since Friday. The vast majority of them shot down, but a few got through.
That's not entirely true. You want to hold that for a second. Israel has a lockdown on media.
Yes.
Whenever they're going to certain things they don't want the world to see, so that they can control how much information that goes out so that they can look a certain way.
Right.
Whether it's good or bad or whatever. When they want people to feel sorry for them, they're going to show you what they want you to see so that you will have sympathy towards them. But they will never show you, because that information will go back to whomever is doing the bombing on them. They don't want to see that they're losing at all.
That's right. And we're going to see that in some of these videos, exposing exactly what you just mentioned, of how they control the media and do media blackouts. Because they'll tell you, that's why I said, the news doesn't tell you exactly what's going on there. They'll tell you little pieces. Because you remember when it was in the Virgin Islands and you had Hurricane Hugo. They was talking about they had Rastafarians running around chopping off people's heads and people getting shot up. And none of that stuff was going on. It's like, where's this news coming from?
Yeah, CNN was broadcasting all kinds of propaganda at the time.
So we know that the media doesn't always spin the truth because they're controlled by these people, and we're going to see that. But listen to those sirens going off. There are a lot of Hebrews over there in Dimona and those places. See the bombs coming down, and like they will tell you, yes, only a few bombs came through and they didn't do no damage. That's all lies.
CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams is in Iraq, reporting that the heart of this conflict is all about Iran's nuclear facilities.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu justified his country's attack on Iran by saying that the Iranian nuclear program is a, quote, clear and present danger to Israel. Now, Iran has denied any intention of building a nuclear bomb, but it is engaged in enriching uranium, and Israel's been striking sites where that's taking.
So this is the picture that they're painting about nuclear power, and Iran might have nuclear weapons and so forth. But we'll see as we get into it.
We can see the damage very clearly in satellite imagery, and Israel's also killed several of Iran's nuclear scientists. Yet some experts say that unless Israel can take out the Fordow nuclear site, a fortified location which is buried deep inside a mountain, then this war will have been in vain. And it's widely believed that Israel does not have the firepower to destroy Fordow, because it would probably require huge bunker buster bombs, which the US has, but which it is not supplied to Israel. So far in this conflict, the US has been aiding Israel by shooting down incoming Iranian missiles. But if the US decided to join in Israel's airstrikes, then retaliation from Iran would become more likely. And Iran has already threatened to target American military bases and ships. There are around 40,000 US troops here in the Middle East. But if Iran retaliates, the roughly 2,500 American troops thought to be here in Iraq would be an obvious target, simply because they are right next door. Holly Williams, CBS News, Erbil in northern Iraq.
So when you play chess, Mishpachah, you have to understand that they're moving the pawns around the board first, just to make room before you start to get up to the higher pieces. Let's go to the next slide and then we'll go to another video. So tonight we are going to start in the present and go back into the past. This is where Rebbe's going to talk about a lot of the things, how we get where we get, to see how the chessboard has been set up, okay? How they have been doing all of their movements. Remember, from previous classes, the Most High already set his words in motion and wrote the script long ago. We talked about role-playing. You have the hero, the villain, and then you have the damsel in distress. And so we know what's going on. The collaboration of craftiness goes deep between the in-house scuffles of the seed of Japheth and Edom. They continue to fight within for the struggle of power. Joshua chapter 90 and verses 30.
He then heard that Edom had revolted from under the hand of Chittim. And Latnus went to them and smote them and subdued them and placed them under the hand of the children of Chittim. And Edom became one kingdom with the children of Chittim all the days. So
these power struggles still are occurring within, because it's like they call it the well-oiled machine that keeps moving. And what they do, they have all of these countries that collaborate together to make this huge military moving machine. So Chittim falls under the family of Japheth, and Zepho falls under the family of Edom. And this is where they're mesh. I'm just going this direction first, so when we get into how Israel and the United States today are doing what they're doing and what it pertains to us in prophecy, we will see how this all plays out. So let's go to our second video. Fair use, fair use. All right.
This is a fall from grace for a man who was reportedly told by one of the most powerful Jewish religious figures in the world that he would be the one to welcome the Messiah. (1984). He was a Mossad 40 years
agent
ago,
too.
when Netanyahu was Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, he met Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the leader of the Chabad Lubavitch movement, known simply as the Rebbe.
He said, you know, you're going to this house of darkness, the UN, which was very, very unfriendly to Israel at the time. He called it the house of darkness. And he said, even in the greatest darkness, if you light a candle, it spreads a great light that can be seen from afar.
The Rebbe reportedly believed Netanyahu had a mission from God to prepare Israel for the coming of the Messiah, or in Hebrew, the Moshiach. Over the next decade, the two men developed a close relationship. Soon after entering Israel's parliament for the first time, Netanyahu paid his respects to his mentor.
This is that crafty counsel. Remember you talked about this before.
Something hasten is coming.
The Rebbe never visited Israel, not once, and yet from his home in Brooklyn, he was able to influence Israeli politics. His influence was recognized by American politicians too. US presidents paid homage to him, establishing and proclaiming a National Education and Sharing Day in honor of his birthday.
And please give my warmest regards to the Rebbe on this his 86th birthday.
Menachem Mendel Schneerson was born in 1902 in the Black Sea port of Nikolaev, which was part of the Russian Empire but now part of Ukraine. He and his wife lived in Berlin and Paris before...
Stop!
Now, real quick, you see how Russia and Ukraine is involved? Go ahead.
I keep telling y'all, these people are Ukrainians. Most of them are Ukrainians, Russians, and so forth. They're not Israelites.
fleeing the Nazis in 1941, seeking refuge in New York, where they put down roots. A decade later, in 1951, he took over the Chabad movement from his father-in-law, who died the previous year. Menachem Schneerson revived and grew the movement for over 40 years until his death in New York in 1994. His followers in Brooklyn were devastated.
Most of them believed he would never die. They still believe Rabbi Menachem Schneerson will be physically resurrected as Mashiach, the Messiah.
You hear that?
Physical resurrection, when he's going to come back in his full glory imminently and redeem the entire world.
A couple of years after
Stop.
this meet.
So let's get this straight. This guy's supposed to be the Messiah, right? So before the Messiah died, he told Benjamin Netanyahu, you're not doing something fast enough to get the Messiah returned. But Benjamin should look at him and says, well, you're the Messiah.
Yeah,
you're here.
You're here ready.
Why don't you do something? Do you see how crazy this thing is? He just told Benjamin Netanyahu to do something about to hasten the Messiah.
Make something
Then he
happen
died
fast.
afterwards. And the people are saying that he's the Messiah that's going to return again.
Now, when you read between the lines,
Can't make this stuff up.
This Rebbe guy here is telling Netanyahu to make something happen. That's code word to start wars. Begin the conflict.
Force, yep.
So you create chaos to have what? Control. All right.
The Rebbe reportedly told a young Netanyahu that he would one day become Prime Minister of Israel and would be the nation's last leader before handing the scepter to the Messiah.
The last leader. So
I want to read Romans 3:8 real quick.
I'm going to pull it up or you just read it?
I can just read it from here.
Okay.
It says, but not rather, as we be slanderously reported, and as some affirm that we say, let us do evil, that good may come. See, people are trying to do evil things so that the Messiah will come.
Not realizing that they're fulfilling the prophecy upon their own heads.
This first part of the Rebbe's prediction came true in 1996, when a 47-year-old Benjamin Netanyahu became Prime Minister for the first time. But his government fell just 3 years later. For a while, Netanyahu withdrew from politics. The Rebbe's words faded into history until a decade later, Netanyahu became Prime Minister for a second time.
Stop. Notice the guys behind him, this guy right here? This is the same, there's another one, two guys that's always showing up around him. Just keep an eye on that.
העם רוצה ללכת בדרך אחרת. הדרך שלנו ניצחה. היא הדרך שתוביל את העם.
Netanyahu's second premiership lasted for over 12 years, until he was eventually ousted by his political opponents. Another setback for anyone who believed in the Rebbe's messianic prophecy. But Netanyahu was back just a few months later, forming a coalition with ultra-Orthodox and religious Zionist parties. He began his third premiership almost exactly a year ago. The protests threatened to bring down Netanyahu's government.
Crime minister.
Then, on October 7th, everything changed.
Because they said he had a lot of scandals and stuff going on too.
Breaking news out of Israel this morning, where Hamas has launched a surprise attack.
A massive surprise attack.
Hundreds of Hamas fighters poured across breached border points.
This is what began or escalated the genocide that's going on over there that Trump talked about, making that place. Remember we said about making that place and having it built just like how, what's that place over there with the big Dubai, to make it look like Dubai.
They attacked by air, land and sea, taking Israel by surprise.
With many in his own country blaming him for the worst
I will show you how that's a
failure
lie.
in Israel's history,
okay.
Netanyahu is once again relying on religious language to rally the country.
The Bible says that there is a time for peace and a time for war. This is a time for war.
That kind of language is recognized by evangelical Christians in the United States.
Good old John Hagee Christians.
Who are still able to influence U.S. policy in the Middle East.
And you know, a lot of commercials now are popping up with the little pins for Israel and America and support and stuff like that.
Netanyahu took that Bible verse from Ecclesiastes 3.
Netanyahu spent many years living and working in the United States and has always believed in his ability to influence America.
אבל אנחנו הולכים למסלול התנגשות עם הממשל האמריקאי. ארצות הברית זה לא מקשה אחת, זה לא מקשה אחת. יש את הסנאט, יש את הקונגרס, יש את הכוח היהודי שהוא עצום.
Let me just read that. Go back again real quick because folks need to see that. Go ahead and play it.
מקשה אחת, זה לא מקשה אחת.
Stop. He's saying in Hebrew, we have the Senate, the Congress, and the record-strong Jewish lobby on our side. We'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Yep.
יש את הסנאט, יש את הקונגרס, יש את הכוח היהודי שהוא עצום, יותר חזק משהיה אי פעם. יש דת.
So he says we have strong influence over the general support of America.
הקהל, יש לנו כוחות כבירים בדעת הקהל שמתנגדים למדיניות הזאת, גדולי הפרשנים. אמריקה לא תכפה עלינו דבר.
So how he coming to speak in the name of the Torah, in the name of the Jewish religion, when he don't believe in the Torah, he don't believe in God?
Benjamin Netanyahu is known to be a secular Jew, but he certainly saw the value in being associated with the Rebbe, whose presence is still felt in Israel even 30 years after his death. Sitting alongside his Zionist and ultra-Orthodox allies, Netanyahu may or may not believe in God, but he certainly believes in retribution.
Do you believe that, Mishpachah, that King David sitting on the throne may or may not believe in the Most High, and he represent Israel? Or any of the kings like that? Now we know they had some wicked kings of Israel. But they knew who the Most High was. I know it's two different Israels. But we can see the lies that are coming out. And they say that, oh, they didn't know that the so-called Hamas attack wasn't going to happen. We're going to expose that also. We're going to expose that. All right, so Iran warns U.S. joining conflict would mean all-out war. Refuses demands to give up disputed nuclear program. So they're trying to force this war to occur. So again, war is on the brink yet again. And it is inevitable, but this time the world is not simply just watching, okay? We are all involved in some way or another. What we see going on has already been prophesied to come to pass. With war comes death and destruction, and the return of true shalom through our King. You wanted to say something? Okay. All right, I'm going to play the other video now.
And just for the record, Netanyahu, as far as we know, was not working for the Mossad. He was working for other groups, which we'll touch on some of that later on. All right.
The war on Iran has been brought to you by the same people that brought you the war on Iraq.
The most compelling case for preemption against Saddam's regime, I believe, was not made by the president's power.
Now remember 9/11 and what caused all of this. And then before that, when you had the Gulf War, what they were doing. So we're going to go back a little bit just to kind of see what the trend is leading up to this now.
For words this morning, but by the savage action of the terrorists themselves on September 11th. And do the various critics, especially overseas, believe that a clear connection between Saddam and September 11th must be established before we have a right to prevent the next September 11th? There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons.
Now, was that true?
No.
They found nothing. Later on, they come back and says, yeah, we just went in there because we wanted to get the oil and so forth, so forth.
You can tell by his facial expression that he was lying. You can see it in his face.
No question whatsoever. If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
You make the observation in your book, and you say that you have said it many times when you were president of the United States, that no president is ever going to desert Israel, right?
Correct. I put it more bluntly. I said, as I told congressional leaders during the 1973 Yom Kippur War, no American president will let Israel go down the tube.
Now, for those of you who don't know this is Nixon. This is long time ago for the younger generation.
And there are moral issues involved here. We don't have an alliance with Israel. As you know, they're not an ally of the United States in the technical sense. But we have a bond to Israel that's much stronger. It's a moral commitment because of what happened during the Holocaust, and a moral commitment because it is a democracy, the only democracy in that area. And under the circumstances, that is why American presidents and the American people in the future will support all out the survival of Israel if it's attacked.
We will not let the world's most dangerous regime
get the world's most dangerous weapons. And Iran plans to give those weapons, nuclear weapons, to its terrorist proxies. That would make the nightmare of nuclear terrorism all too real. The increasing range of Iran's ballistic missiles would bring that nuclear nightmare to the cities of Europe and eventually to America.
Yeah,
Netanyahu has been saying...
Pinky and the brain.
Yeah,
that's the brain?
Yeah.
That's the brain, right?
Yeah, he looks like Pinky and the brain.
I don't know if you can pull that up so that people can see it. But anyway.
Okay, I'll pull it up after.
Pinky and the brain.
This for over 3 decades.
If Iran acquires a nuclear bomb, it could use any one of these shadowy groups to threaten the United States, threaten the West.
Time is running out.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about...
Now notice now what he's saying. Let me go back again because you may have missed it. Look at the dates. The same message he's saying about Iran. Time is running out. It could be a day, it could be a month, it could be a year. Okay, let me go back a little bit because you see when it started. 1995.
1995, Iran was...
to America.
Huh?
From way back in the day, they were accusing these people of, they're just a day away.
Yeah.
It's just a couple weeks away. That was like years ago.
Yep. Decade.
People have made families and have grandchildren since then.
Look at the dates.
Netanyahu has been saying this for over 3 decades.
3 decades.
If Iran acquires a nuclear bomb, it could use any one of these shadowy groups to threaten the United States, threaten the West.
Time is running out.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly.
And if not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
Iran is not a rival to Saudi Arabia. Its army is not among the top 5 armies in the Muslim world. The Saudi economy is larger than the Iranian economy. Iran is far from being equal to Saudi Arabia.
But I've seen that you called the Ayatollah Khamenei the new Hitler of the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Stop for a second. I don't know if he's going to explain that, but brethren, all of these people are tied in.
Yes.
With, you'll see. I'll share it with you later on. Just wait for it.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. These people are all tied together.
Yep. Let me
investments.
Let me show you Pinky in the brain real quick so you can see.
Yeah.
This is Pinky on the brain.
Is that the one I sent you?
No, I'll get the other one you sent me now.
The one I sent you is better looking. There it is. Look at that. That's Netanyahu and see him right there? Trump is the other one? Okay. Uh-oh.
Why?
Because he wants to expand. He wants to create his own project
they'll
in the
create
Middle
a narrative of painting them painting them for whatever reason. But for years they've been talking about getting into Iran. And this is one way of doing it.
Two things in Iran, you gotta
Get
remember.
the mic.
There's 2 things in Iran that a lot of people don't know. They have the 4th largest oil reserves in the world. And also they have uranium. A lot of that stuff.
Yes. Uranium.
Stuff that you make nuclear weapons with. So enriching it is what they're worried about because they have more than everybody.
They have a limited supply, yes.
East, very much like Hitler, who wanted to expand at the time. Many countries around the world and in Europe did not realize how dangerous Hitler was until what happened happened. I don't want to see the same events happening in the Middle East.
Does Saudi Arabia need nuclear weapons to counter Iran?
Saudi Arabia does not want to acquire...
Something he said doesn't make any sense. One thing we know for sure is that Hitler was really advancing. He was taking over countries and bringing the German ideology to those places, and he made a lot of deals. I don't see where Iran is doing that. Iran, I mean, some even would argue about China. China has been talking about Taiwan. That used to be part, all that stuff used to be part of the same folks anyway, until America really got control of the industry over there and stuff. But the point of the matter is, a lot of the things that these people talk about, you don't see it in real time. You don't see it in real time. You don't find Iran coming over and taking over anything whatsoever. Nope. North Korea hasn't taken over anything.
Nope.
I mean, they have their own issues. We know that. But listen to the lies. Kifa, what's on your mind?
Yeah, he's talking, and you really have to don't look at him when he's talking. You'll realize that as a Muslim, he's not really talking in favor of Iran. He's talking in favor of the other side.
Yes, yes.
But then again, you got to remember from a show that a movie I saw a long time ago called Skull and Bones. A lot of these guys come from the same organization, the same school, the same teaching, but they are transported into different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Just like Bin Laden was also part of the whole organization there, and he ended up getting toppled at the end because his time had run out to what he was going to do. You know, so in I think it was a movie that came out that they showed you all of them around the table. It was something was a gentleman or something. It was one with England. They have the CIA group or whatever it is. It was something with the gentleman. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it was one of those that all of them was on the table. They was talking around the table and they were discussing different events that you can probably look at.
All right, let me finish this video here.
Any nuclear bomb. But without a doubt, if Iran developed a nuclear bomb, we will follow suit as soon as possible.
This great transformation has not come from Western intervention or...
Now, look at that symbol. Let me go back just a little bit. Look at that symbol there. This is like an eagle, head of an eagle, and then you see the Islamic moon and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're collaborating together.
Neocons, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves.
He's an incredible friend to the Jewish people. No disrespect.
Now listen to what this guy is saying now about President Trump. Let me go back a little bit.
They did not even understand themselves.
He's an incredible friend to the Jewish people. No disrespect to Prime Minister Netanyahu. I think the President Trump could be the first sitting president who could also be the Prime Minister of Israel at the same time.
You hear what he said, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm. America first. America first. America first. We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make Israel great, Israel great, Israel great again, and we're going to make America great again.
But when you look down his list of funders, it seems like it might just be Israel first. One of Trump's largest funders, giving him $100 million, is Miriam Adelson, the widow of Sheldon Adelson. Sheldon Adelson bankrolled Donald Trump's first election as president of the United States. Sheldon Adelson very publicly supported the use of nuclear weapons against Iran.
You pick up your cell phone and you call somewhere in Nebraska and you say, okay, let it go. So there's an atomic weapon goes over ballistic missiles in the middle of the desert that doesn't hurt a soul. Maybe a couple of rattlesnakes and scorpions or whatever. And then you say, see, the next one is in the middle of Tehran.
Try and convince us.
I would urge President Trump to go all in to make sure that...
And this guy right here, I'm going to show you a video later about this particular guy, the next video, how he's a senator from Carolina, how they're pushing.
Yeah, he's a war hawk.
For war, yes.
He has been pushing every time this, from the Iran war, the Iraq wars, all the different wars, he has been behind a lot of him and a few others.
Yeah.
When this operation is over, there's nothing left standing in Iran regarding their nuclear program. If that means providing bombs, provide bombs, whatever bombs. If it means flying with Israel, fly with Israel.
Our action will help make the world a much safer place.
That's the lie that they tell you, to make the place a much safer place.
That's pink. Is that the brain? That's the brain.
Yeah.
The brain next to him. Just pull that to the side and put it next to each other so everyone can see. Come on now.
I'm trying to get it.
You see the brain right there? All right.
So, Mishpachah, the drums of war are beaten very hard. All right, read that for me, Kiefer. This is a quote from Albert Einstein.
As long as there are sovereign nations possessing great power, war is inevitable.
So they understand this thing. Like Kiefer said earlier, a lot of these men go to these fraternities and sororities and different things like that, and they, behind closed doors, they're best friends, and then they'll challenge each other, like in that movie with Eddie Murphy and Mortimer. What's that called again? Trading Spaces. Trading Places, where they're betting $1 behind the scene for whatever they was doing. The same thing they're doing with these wars. Behind closed doors, they're betting. They know each other. Matthew 24 and verses 6.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
Uh-huh.
See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
The end is not yet. So like I said before, this is just setting the stage for everything. Our Messiah is telling us what to expect, so we have no excuse, Mishpachah. All right, America is the greatest country on earth today and is the ruling superpower. 99% of all other countries mimic or follow in a variety of ways on what America does. And you can see right here with the DOD, these are the contractors right here. You have Lockheed Martin right down here, Boeing, General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon. These are the companies that fund a lot of these wars. The United States of America is a North American nation that is the world's most dominant economic and military power. This is why they can do what they're doing, and we're going to see how they're tied and everything is playing out behind the scenes with these nations. Now, they are in every country, and I'm going to show you that here shortly. Let's look at this video here. Again, fair use, fair use. This is a colonel, and we're going to hear from him a lot this evening also.
Douglas.
All right, fair use, fair use.
We're really dealing with a uniparty. We're dealing with an entirely corrupted, dysfunctional system. This thing that we call democracy in the United States is a scam. It's not real. It's just not real. So this is another replay of the same failed strategy. And how many regime change operations do we have to run before somebody finally figures out this doesn't work? I don't have the answer, but I can tell you right now, everyone in Washington is rotten to the core when it comes to this business.
See what he's saying?
Why? Because of money. Everyone is greedy. Everyone wants more cash. The retired 4-stars, the active 4-stars, the senators, the congressmen, the president and his entourage in the White House. Everything is about money. And same thing is true for the military-industrial complex, these industries. Is true for the media. Everyone is about money. So truth is in short supply.
The American military-industrial complex is often seen as a tool of national defense, but it's more than that. It's an empire built on war and profit. What if the wars America fights aren't about security, but about keeping the wheels of the military-industrial complex turning? This isn't just speculation, it's reality. The truth is, the military-industrial complex is a massive network of defense contractors, military leaders, and politicians working together to maintain global dominance. This complex profits off of conflict. Every war, every battle is an opportunity for these powerful players to make billions, while the public is left in the dark. The links between the government, military, and corporations are more intertwined than you think. Defense contractors like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Boeing control the flow of money. These companies don't just build weapons, they push for wars. They lobby governments, influence policy, and ensure that war is always profitable for them. These corporations have direct ties to politicians who vote to send troops overseas. They make campaign contributions, fund lobbying efforts, and use their power to push for war. The American military-industrial complex isn't just a domestic issue. It's a global one. The U.S. military has bases all over the world, creating a network of control and influence. Through these military bases, the U.S. can project power globally. But it is not just about defense. It's about maintaining a system where conflict is always on the horizon.
Graham, followed by Senator Baldwin, and then Senator Murray.
Now, there's that guy again we talked about.
Thank you both. Good morning. Thank you both.
See the date? What's today's date?
The 19th.
20th?
20th.
It's 2 days ago that he's trying to convince the public why this war is necessary. Let's listen in real quick. I kind of cut pieces out because it's long, and I just get to the meat of it.
The FY25 Army budget was $185.9 billion. Mr. Secretary, that's a lot of money, right?
It is.
Yeah. Well, I think we need more, and I think most of us up here understand.
So they need more money. This is the military-industrial complex that we're talking about, that we mentioned with Boeing and all these other companies that create weapons, software, plan, fund wars, all these different things, and they're looking for more money. You mean to tell me they don't have enough money? You know, one of those missiles, I think I might be wrong, but I think it's like $5-point-something million for one of those missiles. And they shoot 6 missiles already. So where are they getting this money from?
And that budgets need to be based on threats. So let's walk through the threat matrix.
So they're going to show you some threats to make it justifiable.
We need more spending on the military list. Putin, is there any indication, General, that Putin's going to stop his effort to dismember Ukraine anytime soon?
Well, it's hard.
He looked kind of soft too. This is an Army 4-star general. He looked kind of soft. Look at him.
For me to predict anything, but I would say.
Well, let's go. Last night was the biggest attack on Kyiv, and they killed an American citizen. So as of last night, he doesn't seem to be willing to stop, does he?
Yes, you're right, Senator.
Yeah, I hadn't seen any intel. I mean, does anybody up here think that he's slowing down?
According to the AI search, Lindsey Graham is not married. He does not have a wife. He's never been married and he has no children. Right. So here you have a person who has nothing whatsoever, but want America's children or the world's children, not just America, because these are the people that will entice England and all the other countries of the world to go and fight and lose their lives. But he has no investment other than his money. That's it, right? So he's lobbying on behalf of this nonsense, and other people's going to die, but he has no children that's going to die. It's crazy.
I don't. So we spent a lot of our ordnance and military equipment to help Ukraine, right, Ms. Secretary?
We did.
And the reason we're doing that so that we don't get in a war with Putin. You know, if he gets to a NATO country, we're in a war with Russia, right? We're trying to stop him now.
I believe that was the theory of the case.
Yeah, well, that's the good theory of the case. So if Putin's not slowing down, seems to me we're going to be needing to help Ukraine more and be sending a deterrent message to Putin. Let's go to Iran as a threat matrix. How would you rate Iran's threat to the United States? Do you know what November the 4th is in Iran? Do you know? It's Death to America Day. In 1987, Iran made November the 4th Death to America Day. That's a hint what they think about us. Do you believe, Ms. Secretary, that President Trump is right to say no nukes for Iran?
I totally support the president.
Do you believe Iran would use a nuke if they had it against Israel and maybe us?
It's hard to answer a hypothetical.
So notice how he slipped Israel in there, huh?
Yep.
Hard to answer. They say it. They write death to Israel, death to America on the missile. That's not hard. China, do you think China will take our Taiwan by force if America and the West seems weak in the eyes of China?
I do think that.
Okay, so the threat matrix is about as large as I can remember. So to those who are wondering, should we spend more on the military? We should. And the goal is to spend money in the military to prevent war, but if you get in one, to win it. So last question. The Ayatollah said today that if we help Israel destroy their nuclear program, and he's not going to give it up, he said that today, there'd be all-out war with America. Did you hear that today?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So are you confident that America has the ability, nobody wants a war, but if we got in an all-out war with Iran, we would win?
I think we're confident for 250 years the United States Army has
I do
achieved
too.
every
My
goal
money's
we've
on
been
the
given.
Army, my money's on the military. I don't want a war, but if you pick a fight with us, you're going to lose. To our friends in Israel, keep it up. We got your back. Taking that program down is an existential threat to Israel and to us. This is a moment of choosing for the world. I hope everybody understands that if they get a nuclear weapon, they're religious fanatics, they're religious Nazis. They would use it. I don't believe that about Rocket Man. I don't believe it about Putin. I don't believe it about China, but I believe it about these folks. And this is a moment of choosing, and we better get this right. And if you get it right, normalization's back on the table. China's less likely to go into Taiwan, and Putin will we'll have a new conversation.
Mm-hmm. All lies, Mr. Picard. All lies. Trying to find the reasons to start nuclear war. This is what these men are about, warmongers.
So he's there playing the drums.
Yes, America again is the only country in which their military is housed in other countries worldwide. Exploring all foreign military bases in the world. So you can see right here, we have 874 military bases around the world, but at least 19 other nations operate foreign military bases, each of which increase the risk of war. But when you look into it, it says the United States, right over here, has so many bases, partly because it became a global peacekeeper after World War II. They don't look like they're keeping peace. If somebody is funding these wars and handing out weapons, it's like you have a gang in the neighborhood and you say, here's a gun for you, here's a gun for you, here's some money, here's a bomb. How are you keeping the peace? You're basically making your pocket bigger and making your real estate bigger.
I'm sure if you do a search about where most of these military jets that the other nations use come from, you'll see that
right here.
They're made right here. People place an order. You know, like you order something from Amazon, and the military trains because I remember years ago where a lot of Pakistani pilots were. I would see them right in my face. You know, you go to have something to eat, and they're right there. And they're training on the military bases.
Yeah.
And then when something happens, then all of a sudden they're saying, well, the Pakistanis are such and such. No, you train the people. If you want to be able to control or have less wars, do not give them access to those things. Don't sell things to them, number one. Don't train them. You know what I mean? Don't give them things. You have been given things to all of these people, and later on like, we all know what happened to Saddam Hussein, that they set him up to deal with Iran, right? There's a lot of history there. So the point of the matter is, Mr. Carr, these people are playing games, and guess who suffers? The poor people who sign up. The poor people who sign up so that they can be all that we can be.
Yeah. We're going to see that right now. Let me play these other two videos so we can get it moving, because I know you have some stuff to cover too. All right, let's listen to this part here.
Is the U.S. at war with Iran, even just with all of the support it's providing to Israel?
Yes, just as we are a co-belligerent in Ukraine, we have from the very beginning been a co-belligerent in the war with Iran that Israel has started. Well, we are committed to action against Iran. It's not a question of if that will happen, but when that will happen. I think there has been a slight delay in order to assemble forces, air and naval, because that's effectively what President Trump is pinning his hopes on, American air and naval power.
Slight delay.
Now, understand that we have three branches of government in the United States. One is the media, the mainstream media.
So the media is being controlled, like Rebbe was saying, by these people to control the narrative of what the people are hearing. So they're not going to tell you that what exactly is happening over it, who they're killing, who was killed. Like they say, they killed 5 of Iran's leaders, some scientists, some leaders. But they ain't show no proof of it. They just say that. They could tell you anything.
They are 100% in Israel's pocket. Then you have Congress and the White House. They are 100% in Israel's pocket. And then finally, you have the military-industrial sector led by the retired and active 4-stars and their shareholders. They are 100% in Israel's pocket. So there is no debate about what will happen. We're going to launch, I would imagine, airstrikes involving primarily B-2, B-1 bombers, delivering very, very devastating, precise munitions, ostensibly to destroy the underground facilities that the Iranians have, and also, I think, to pursue this illusory regime change approach, and we'll kill more people in Tehran and other places that we think are going to be, essential parts of the national leadership. The problem with all of this is air and naval power does not win wars. It never has.
That's right.
Secondly,
that means you got to send troops over there.
This is why I don't even call this thing a war. This is just people throwing rocks over the hill, right? A real war is when people go into battle face to face. And that's where you can really say it's a war.
And the reason why they won't tell you it's a war yet, but it's a war because they have troops on the ground already. It's just because what they do, they send in special units first to infiltrate, to set targets. This is why they talk about they kill off this person and this scientist and this and that. And then they start bombing. And after that, now they're going to start sending troops over. So this is the next phase of it that we're going to see happening very soon.
Assuming that Iran is weak and already in a state of disarray, the opposite is the case. Israel is in very serious trouble. They embarked on this war without understanding what they were doing. And I think Ben Gvir said that by accident in public when he mentioned, we didn't appreciate the power of the Iranian missile arsenal. Well, that's an understatement. They can't stop much of anything. Iron Dove has turned out to be a sieve. Iron Dome, that is. And we're not going to be able to do as much damage as we think. I think the integrated air defenses will have an impact. Can they prevent everything from getting through? No, that's impossible. But I think it's going to retard the effort that we're about to undertake. The other thing is we have over 40,000 troops on the ground in the region. I imagine that once we attack, the Iranians will feel obligated to attack those targets. So we could lose a lot of people. We don't have the air defense network in place to stop much of it. Our air defenses have always been woefully behind the rest of the armed forces in terms of their development and investment. When I was in the Army, where you have much of your ground-based air defense, we always used to refer to them as the red-headed stepchildren. They never had enough. But we, on the other hand, had never really faced an enemy that had tremendous missile and air power. And Iran definitely has that. So I think we're at the beginning of a long war. There will be no sudden surrender by the Iranians to Donald Trump, no matter what he's being told. And I think he's very foolish to believe any of the people talking to him, because these are the same people that urged us to become involved in Ukraine and sponsor the Ukrainian battering ram against Russia, telling us all back in February of 2022, March, April, May, June, July, and onward, the Russians are incompetent. The Russians are running out of ammunition. The Russians don't have enough missiles. The Russian soldiers don't want to fight, on and on and on. Well, that was all nonsense, lies. Most of what is being heard in the mainstream media about Iran is also one big lie. Iran is not about to surrender. It's not going to crumble. There will be no uprising to remove the regime. So fasten your seatbelts and get ready. This is going to go on and on and on until Israel is practically destroyed. Then the question is, will the Israelis turn to a nuclear weapon? That, of course, is the last thing in the world they should do, simply because if they do use a nuclear weapon at some point in desperation, others in the region will suddenly produce nuclear weapons that will be used against them.
It's like I said, Mishpachah, it's that chess move. You make a move, I make a move. And a lot of people are not understanding that this is all planned out. All planned out. Okay, let's finish here what he has to say on this here.
Well, whatever he campaigned for, remember he's entirely beholden to his real masters, who are the people that provided him with the money to seize the White House. And we know who they are. That is the class of billionaires like the Adelsons and others, and the Jewish billionaires that fund the lobby and help him to gain the White House now want to be repaid in kind. So I don't think he has much choice. What he's done, though, is that he's listened, as I pointed out before, to the same poisonous voices that took us into Ukraine, that created this terrible monster in Ukraine and then created the war that followed, that we have lost, that the Ukrainians have lost. Now, for some reason, he's allowed these people to convince him that we can walk in, bully, and pulverize our way to success in Iran. I think a part of him likes to bully. He certainly thinks bullying tactics work, and I think it's based on his business experience. But ultimately, I think it's a serious mistake, and it's not going to work. And the question is going to be, all right, we've done this for X number of days. We've committed all these aircraft, all these missiles, all these weapons. Now what?
What's the next step?
The absence of strategy results in you arriving in a place like Stalingrad or Quang Tri in Vietnam in 1968 or 69. And then you say, where am I? What am I doing? What's the point? What are we achieving? He's not asking those questions, and he shouldn't be listening to the people that are talking to him, to be perfectly blunt. But again, he has to rationalize it based on the campaign contributions and what he owes those who
So
helped him.
basically, what he's saying,
White
Trump is basically a puppet, and he has to listen to the shareholders who's behind the scenes. I'm going to move on here. There's something I want to play in a minute.
Most definitely that they owe a whole lot. We're going to see some of that on the financial side.
Okay, let's see. Not escaping. A second. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's move on here a minute. Big brother, little brother. Now we turn our attentions to the state of Israel, because it's not a country, it's a state. That's what they say. And see how the United States is linked to them, why this current conflict that we see is getting deadlier. Why do you think Israel can so-called find where Iran's location is? Now, remember they said that it was a surprise attack that Hamas came about and they didn't know what was going on? And what was going on when that had to happen? They had this big rave or something in the desert?
Yes.
That they had a big party going on.
My suspicion is that all of those things were staged, positioned. You know, all the pieces were put in place, and certain events were set up, and things went into motion so that they can have a controlled event.
Yes.
To lead up to certain things. Everything is staged like a movie. Planned.
Mishpachah, Big Brother is always watching. Future surveillance will involve real-time AI predictions, ethical data governance, decentralized networks, and seamless integration with broader smart infrastructure. Now this device, and we're going to see some little history parts about it here in a second. This device is a satellite that was made years ago by the United States that is shared with Israel. There are more than 8,000 satellites in space examining every inch of the globe. Now listen carefully. They orbit the Earth twice a day, taking digital snapshots for the CIA, the military, and government worldwide. They zoom over us, tracking our every move. They can't just see your car. They can read your license plate. Now, I've witnessed some of this firsthand where you can zoom in on the beach, and you can see right down to the skin of people. There are even some that are even strong enough to go right through skin and see cells. That's how powerful a lot of these scopes are coming from space. So Big Brother is always watching you, okay? Kiefer, read that for me. What is the KH-11 program?
The KH-11 Keyhole 11 series of the reconnaissance satellites, also known by their bi-man code name Kenan. The often reported Kenan is a misspelling, and Crystal since 1982 are the first American spy satellites to utilize electrotopical digital imaging and provide a real-time optical observation capability.
So they're using this satellite to get real-time information of what's going on the ground. This is why they can say they can pinpoint these people and know where's what and what's going on. Read the AI overview for me. The KH-11. And notice it's called Crystal, like looking at the crystal ball. Okay?
Satellites are advanced U.S. reconnaissance satellites known for their digital imaging capability, providing near real-time optical observation. The U.S. has historically shared intelligence with Israel, including high-resolution satellite imagery. While specific details about the KH-11 and its usage and intelligence sharings are classified, there are indications and reports about the nature and extent of this cooperation.
So they'll never tell you what's going on because it's classified, top secret. But they'll give you bits and pieces of information because stuff get spilt, secrets get exposed. Now this a book here I'm gonna open up is called How Israel Gained Eyes for Its Nuclear Weapons. So we're just gonna breeze through it real quick. Let me make it bigger. And this is from the Los Angeles Times. How Israel gained eyes for its nuclear weapons. So how did they find out about the nuclear weapons over there? Notice now, this satellite was made back in the day. So they had this information from long ago, eyeing the uranium that's over there to try and get the access to it. And because Iran has that, they're going to try to find every excuse to get in there to get it. And a healthy supply of oil. You can see it says, I set up rules, one senior American intelligence office official recalled. The system was designed to provide the Israelis with everything they could possibly use within the 100-mile striking distance. If it was inside Syria or Egypt, they got it all. If it was Iraq, Pakistan, or Libya, they didn't. And it goes on, when you look through it, they're telling you exactly how they are. Let me read this part here. It says, satellite intelligence on the Soviet supply lines to Syria and the Soviet involvement in the training of Iraqi combat divisions in western Iraq. Those requests were flatly turned down by Carter's administration. So sometimes it'll be like, we want to say, no, not right now, it's not time. We're going to get to it at a later date. But if you notice, back in 1979, they've been making backdoor deals. How long ago was that, Mishpaka? We're in 2025. That's 40 plus years ago that they've been gathering information. All right. Israel did have a secret agenda, and its constant maneuvering for KH-11 access, but that agenda only became clear to a few top Reagan administration policymakers. Because again, if you're not behind the closed doors to know who has access to it, you're not going to know who's involved. But since we have social media today, this is why when the colonel says the Ishi people control social media, like how a lot of the people were speaking out, and then they came up with the anti-Semitism stuff and don't talk about it, is because they were being exposed. Everyone has access to social media now, so now the information is going to get out much quicker. So they was trying to plug those holes, all those leaks that were coming out, and now they're going to create all these lies and bring out to cover their tracks. That's basically what they're doing. So let's move on and see exactly what these satellites are doing here. Let's go back to the slides here a minute. Read that for me, Kifa. Intelligence sharing and joint operations. Now you see CIA right here and Mossad. These are the current operators today. The ones who are in charge today. Okay? Read that.
Intelligence sharing. The U.S. relies on Israel intelligence agencies, including Mossad, for information on various threats in the Middle East, such as terrorism and weapons proliferation. Israel has also provided valuable intelligence about Soviet weapons system in the U.S.
So they're sharing intel back and forth. Continue.
Joint operations. The U.S. and Israel have reportedly collaborated on covert operations, included the Sputnik's cyber attack aimed at disrupting Iran's nuclear program.
So they're telling you that they're going after Iran virtually, cyber attacks, causing power outages, attacking their grid infrastructure, internet systems, these kind of things, to disrupt the communications between what the people are doing, to try to cripple. Because again, they're trying to get into that land to get the uranium and the oil, etc. All right, read out recent reports. Let's see what this is this month now.
More recent reports from June 2025 indicates the U.S. provided exquisite intelligence to Israel for attacks on Iran, which may refer to information from sophisticated technical platforms like KH-11.
So that same satellite and others that they have, that they may not tell you about, they're gathering exquisite intelligence. So there are people constantly doing cyber warfare of the intelligence department in the military, and all they do all day all night is gather information. It says, by fusing intelligence and special operations, Israeli strikes on Iran are a lesson in strategic surprise. Down here it says Israeli spy agencies use AI and smuggle in drones to prepare attack on Iran. So behind the scenes they will get everything set up. We call them sleeper cells.
Speaking of which, I remember years ago, and I've mentioned it before, when you go to a lot of these malls and stuff, you'll find a lot of Israelis running these kiosks.
Kiosks, yeah.
In the malls. Me wearing my zits and stuff and moving around caught their attention, and they would try to, call me to them so they can have a conversation and stuff. And it felt very strange because you have people here, brothers and sisters and other people who are trying to have sell a little oils and stuff, and they can't even get a spot
in
these malls. But when you go from mall to mall, you'll find these people. So when I saw that, automatically, I didn't even do any research on that, but at that time, automatically, it felt like there's more to it.
Another agenda behind that.
There's intelligence gathering or something, because most of these people come straight from the military. They are military age, young men and women.
Some of them are still active, because I spoke to some of them in the malls back then too, and they're still active. I had a conversation with one of them too, and this is what made me dig into it deeper. I says, you guys are not Israelites, right? He says, no, we're not Israelites. We're Israelis.
Yeah.
They'll tell you. So Jerusalem, a piece in Jerusalem says, Israel stunned and hobbled Iran last week when it pulled off an intelligence and military operation years in making. Remember, their leader was from back in the 90s and 80s, was been lobbying and pushing, telling you, it could be any day now, it could be next week, it could be next month. And every year he's saying the same thing. Years in the making, they struck high-level targets with precision. Now, remember, they control the media, so they could tell you whatever they want to tell you. See the 5 people here? They're saying that those 2 scientists in the back were killed, and these 3 top leading military generals are also killed. This is what they're saying. But no proof have been shown of their bodies or anything. This is just what is given in the media. Okay? Now, read this for me, Kiefer. The Samson Option. This is very, very important. This is a book done by this guy. Israel's Nuclear Arsenal and American Foreign Policy. And this is a book, you can go look it up. It's called The Samson Option.
Israel's Nuclear Arsenal and American Foreign Policy.
You can just jump down to the almost.
Almost defies belief. A riveting tale of Israeli determination and cunning, and Washington's decision, ineptitude, and excrescence. Dallas Morning News. An investigation into Israel's nuclear capability discloses information about the country's rush towards nuclear status, its collaboration with South Africa and Iran, and its espionage activity.
So if you notice, they have been collaborating with South Africa, and Iran for years. So they'll tell you, oh, we don't want to have them have this program, but they're the ones who give them the program. Of what? I got the video on that. I'm gonna play the video on that in a minute. So let's look at this for a minute here. The United States plays chess. Nuclear cooperation. Read that for me.
The U.S. helped Iran create its nuclear program in 1957.
You see what they're saying? The U.S. is the one that created a nuclear program in 1957, long before I was born.
By providing Iran its first nuclear reactor, a nuclear fuel. And after 1967, by providing Iran with weapons-grade enriched uranium.
Wait a minute.
But they don't say that. They don't mention that at all in their talking points. They don't say anything at all.
Nope.
You don't hear that on Fox News, CNN, NBC, MSNBC, CBS. None of those news networks. You don't hear it on Sky News. You don't hear it on none of those news. Reuters. So this is the type of stuff that they want to keep hidden. This is why whether you go for the left or the right, the Republicans, Democrats, the Tory or whatever, whether you're England or Australia or whatever country you're in and you vote, you're making a mistake because all of these people are bought and paid for by the same set of people.
Mm-hmm.
They're all one.
Read the AI for me.
The AI overview says yes. The United States and Iran, formerly Persia,
so Iran is Persia, okay,
have collaborated in the past, though the nature of their relationship has evolved significantly over time.
So they don't want to come out and say, yes, they're in bed together. But behind closed doors, these people are making deals. Now, let me go back up here a minute because I wanted to pull out this book here to show you something here. And I have some excerpts that I pull out of it already. But you can go, you can see the Samson Option. I'm going to play a video here short that explains what that is. Israel's nuclear arsenal and American foreign policy. And you can go through it. It only gives you bits and pieces of what this whole thing is about. And you see right here, it says the secret agreement, the scientists, how the French is connected, internal wars that are going on. Remember I talked about how within the families they have their little conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
Dual loyalty when they have tapes and stuff and blackmail and stuff going on behind the scene.
Mm-hmm.
The different presidents that get taken out, they won't tell you why this president got shot or was taken out, but he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, and therefore he's no longer in the president's chair. And the list goes on. So let me get to the video here in a minute. Let me pull this.
And you
back
got
to
senators who all of a sudden got shot.
A lot
Nobody's
of
explaining exactly how they're connected.
Planes go down.
They show you something else over here, so you wouldn't see how they're connected over there.
All right, let's read that, Kiefer.
Between 1945
and this is from that same book right there. I just pulled this out. Go ahead. Sorry.
Between 1945 and 1985, the United States manufactured an estimated 60,000 nuclear warheads for 116 weapons system, an average production rate of 4 per day.
So they're making these missiles all day. They're just making bombs.
These range from huge thermonuclear city busters to an...
And you can just jump down to the next one now.
In its place, argued the nuclear advocates, would be the Samson option. Samson, according to the Bible, had been captured by the Philistines.
So they're going to bring in the scriptures and the story of Samson to justify what they're talking about in code. Go ahead.
After a bloody fight and put on display, with his eyes torn out for public entertainment in Dagon's temple in Gaza, he asked Elohim to give him back his strength for the last time and cried out, "Let my soul die with the Philistines." With that, he pushed apart the temple pillars, bringing down the roof and killing himself and his enemies. For Israel's nuclear advocates, the Samson option became another way of saying never again.
So what they're basically saying is like they go like one of those so-called terrorist bombers with the flak vest on, and just push that button. If I can't have it, you can't have it, and they're gonna blow stuff up. Let's look at this video and see what this is all about, so you get a better understanding. Hope we're all learning something here. What's Israel's last resort?
As the Israel-Iran conflict escalates, we take a closer look at Israel's nuclear program and its chilling last resort doctrine known as the Samson option. Here's the full story. Israel's nuclear ambiguity. Israel is widely believed to have nuclear weapons, though it's never officially confirmed them. It is the
So they say it's never officially confirmed. So it's like we won't. How to say it? I wouldn't confirm nor deny because they want to talk in code. But
That's right.
they worry about other people who have nukes, but they didn't tell you if they have nukes.
only country in West Asia thought to possess such weapons. But how did it all begin? Israel's nuclear ambitions go back to its founding in 1948. It was shaped by the trauma of the Holocaust and a need to ensure that no Jewish state would ever again rely on others for survival. Three men laid the foundation: Israel's first Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion, scientist Ernst David Bergman, and civil servant Shimon Peres, who later became Prime Minister himself. It was Ben-Gurion who helped establish the Dimona reactor, believed to be the heart of Israel's secret nuclear program.
And that's where a lot of the Israelites, the real Israelite community lives, close to a reactor.
Mm-hmm. Right in the heart of the reactor.
France reportedly helped Israel build the IRR-2 research reactor at the Negev Nuclear Research Center. That facility is believed to have produced the plutonium used in Israel's nuclear weapons. Nobody knows for sure when Israel tested its first nuclear device, but it is widely believed Israel has had nuclear weapons since the 1960s. It built its first bomb in total secrecy, keeping even close ally the United States in the dark. At first, Israel claimed the Dimona facility was a textile factory. Then it said it was just a civilian research center. In May 1967, during tensions before the Six-Day War, Israel is believed to have either built or attempted to build its first nuclear device. By 1975, the US government became convinced that Israel had a nuclear arsenal. For decades, Israel has maintained a policy called amamut, or strategic ambiguity. This means it neither confirms nor denies having nuclear weapons.
No, I was just looking up the distance from the Village of Peace. You know, the Village of Peace that you all probably heard about with the Hebrew Israelite community in Dimona. Listen to how close it is to the reactor. 8.1 miles.
Wow.
8 0.1 miles
You know, they
from
never
a
said-
nuclear reactor.
They never said that.
So can you imagine? And so those people are all vegans, well, vegetarians, right? And I don't think no amount of veganism can insulate them from that environment.
That radiation. that's
Radiation.
there, yeah.
Why would you want to live? And hey,
That's where they put those people. They strategically put them. They said you can have this spot, and they won't allow them to go any other place. You see what they're doing to our people over there? That's right into the heart of radiation. Now, remember the video said in 1960, right? Let me go back just a little bit here.
post that right in the chat so y'all can get that information yourself.
Let me go back. Right here, right?
But it is widely believed Israel has had nuclear weapons since the 1960s.
And what president served during that time?
JFK. And
That was assassinated. Okay.
It built its first bomb in total secrecy,
Total
keeping
secrecy.
even close.
Because it goes deeper than that. When you start digging into it, a lot of these people had their hands in that because he didn't want to take. He didn't want to be part of that. Yes, Kiefer.
He got assassinated around the time when there were questions in regards to a group called AIPAC.
Yes.
So he questioned the
lobbyists.
Yeah, the lobbyists or the group. Why are they AIPAC group and all that other stuff, and they took him out. I know what presidents since then have questioned.
Yep.
Lie the United States in the dark. At first, Israel claimed the Dimona facility was a textile factory. Then it said it was just a civilian research center. In May 1967, during tensions before the Six-Day War, Israel is believed to have either built or attempted to build its first nuclear device. By 1975, the U.S. government became convinced that Israel had a nuclear arsenal. For decades, Israel has maintained a policy called amamut, or strategic ambiguity. This means it neither confirms nor denies having nuclear weapons.
They won't tell you.
In 2011, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, "We won't be the first to introduce nuclear weapons into the Middle East," echoing earlier statements by Shimon Peres. But despite these denials, Israel's nuclear capability has become an open secret. Officials rarely discuss it. Speaking out about the program can carry heavy consequences. Mordecai Vanunu, a former nuclear technician, revealed Israel's nuclear secrets to the Sunday Times. He was abducted by Mossad from a foreign country, taken back to Israel, and imprisoned for nearly 2 decades, 11 years of which were in solitary confinement.
11 years.
Estimates on the size of Israel's nuclear arsenal vary. Some say the country has between 75 and 400 nuclear weapons. Others place the number between 100 and 200. Israel is not a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It is also not under the watch of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Now, what is the Samson option? It is Israel's doomsday plan. If the state ever faces total destruction, it could launch an all-out nuclear strike. The name comes from the biblical figure Samson. After being betrayed and captured, Samson prayed for strength one last time.
Who is this person supposed to be?
Look where his hand is.
I know.
And brought down the pillars of the temple, killing himself and his enemies. The phrase entered public discourse after journalist Seymour Hersh's 1991 book, The Samson Option, which exposed many details of Israel's nuclear doctrine. According to Hersh and Israeli historian Avner Cohen, the concept was developed in the 1960s by Israeli leaders including Ben-Gurion, Peres, Levi Eshkol, and Moshe Dayan. Under the Samson option, Israel would target civilian centers in non-nuclear rival nations, despite the move violating international law. As war with Iran escalates and fears of regional collapse rise, Israel's nuclear ambiguity and its Samson option may no longer remain in the shadows.
If you notice carefully, right, most of those weapons that have been fired is coming from civilian areas, right?
Yes.
It's not like it's coming from somewhere in the desert to
base or
protect the
something,
city.
yeah.
It's coming right amongst the civilian population. And they always making a fuss about Hamas is between the civilian population. You know, listen, we've talked about this before, family, and to be honest with you, the only human beings on the face of the earth that came about with the whole technology of nuclear were Ashkenazim.
Stubbles, yeah.
They're the ones that were secretly moved out from Germany and those other places, brought to the United States. They went to Alabama. They went to Texas. They went to different places in the United States so that they can design weaponries, destruction, all-out destruction. Now, tell me, you claim to be the people of the book. And do you think Abraham pleaded that the Most High wouldn't drop the nukes? He pleaded, it is 10 people, don't drop the nukes.
Spare them.
Spare them. But they claim to be from the seed of Abraham.
No, sir.
Yet they're the ones with the intelligence, the intellect to destroy the earth many times over. So the Samson option is, if for my 2 eyes, I'm gonna destroy everything. Right? If I'm gonna go. That's it. So if they're 2 eyes, let me see. The 2 eyes are what? The media. That's the 2 eyes, right? They see everything. If they lose the media, right? What else? I mean, if they lose those things, I guess they're gonna release. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that. Let's continue.
So we're gonna
on.
transition right now to the past in a minute. But before we get there, because I'm gonna turn over to Rebbe here shortly. We're going to look at some war crimes just briefly to show you the wickedness. War crimes or just pure wickedness? That's the question. Imagine what the enemy is doing to these people over there. What about you and I when the tribulation begins? Think about that, okay? Revelations 2:9 and Revelations 3:9. Go ahead and read that for me, Kifa.
I know thy works and tribulations and poverty, but thou art rich.
Those are those rich.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
These people are the synagogue of Satan.
Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
They've been lying all this time.
Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee.
Mishpachah, there's a lot of wickedness going on. Now, let's look at this last video here that I have before we go to the second part of it. And this is about the war crimes. Look at the wickedness that they're doing.
Putting landmines. There's a bunch
Look at
of
all
mines.
those bombs.
There's mines. Take the clock down and to put a mine up in people's houses, apartments.
Lots of people say Israeli forces shouldn't be allowed to take cameras and phones into combat. I'm glad that they are allowed to, because it allows the world to witness what's happening.
Look at them. It's supposed to be war going on and taking selfies.
It's all girls. This is what we will do to all our enemies, and not a memory of them will be left. We will annihilate them.
Huge.
Go ahead, read it. Go ahead.
No, he's speaking now in English.
Blocks getting blown up, universities getting blown up.
The fact that they've been able to rig these buildings up with explosives shows very clearly that there's no current threat from those buildings.
There's no justification for destroying a structure if the enemy isn't in it.
So they're cutting open a safe, taking the money out.
The International
Burning
Criminal
the
Court
money.
has jurisdiction to look at precisely these allegations where civilian property has been targeted. and where civilian property is being looted. I see there are some identities given here, so depending on that evidence, charges could be brought.
Your job is to remove a threat, right?
Army.
Does that look like a threat to you?
They show an army, but at times appears to almost completely lack any self-discipline.
Yeah, Brother Miles, no charges will be brought.
Personal lack of discipline.
They get away with all of it.
Institutional lack of discipline.
You can't go around wantonly, unnecessarily destroying civilian property. It's banned. And if you do enough of it, it's a war crime.
No answers whatsoever.
It's amazing, huh?
I'm gonna play one more last video. There's the last video here.
It's amazing. Here. So basically the plan is to terrorize the people, let them leave, go somewhere, and then follow up after that, destroy the buildings so that there's no place to go.
There are hundreds, if not thousands, of videos of beheaded Palestinian babies and children, Palestinian children with severed limbs, killed by Israel.
No, we're just going to talk about it.
Okay.
Just listen carefully. They're going to block out the images, but just listen carefully what they're saying, because again, it's a media blackout. They won't tell you these things that's going on. I'm not going to play all of it, just a little piece of it.
And not a single corporate media outlet has reported on how Israel has systematically beheaded Palestinian children on a daily basis for the last 15 months. And yet every single one of these Western media outlets was so quick to spread the mass atrocity propaganda in order to manufacture consent for Israel's genocide.
So Israel is spreading the lies and saying Hamas is doing this when they're the ones doing it.
It reminds me of when in the 1800s, when the American military was going around scalping
the Indians,
the so-called Indians.
Yeah.
And making it look like the Indians were the ones terrorizing the settlers and stuff like that. When, imagine, the settlers were being provided food and other things by the same natives, people who had a heart. And when the natives were attacked and they tried to defend themselves, they were the ones that were blacklisted, right? Savages and everything else. This is just the nature that's within these people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
By repeating a story about an incident which never took place.
We have some really disturbing new information out of Israel. The Israeli Prime Minister's spokesman just confirmed babies and toddlers were found with their heads decapitated.
I choked up earlier reading this new revelation about 40 babies being killed.
Oh my God.
And some of them being beheaded. And I was like, how can any human being do that to a baby?
So what message does that send? That mythical beheaded babies, because they were Israeli, are to be reported on when the incident never happened. But that Palestinian babies and children, when they're beheaded and their limbs are severed and they're found hanging from trees with half of their body missing, that they are not worth the coverage to report on their experience, on their premature death at the hands of Israel and the United States. Did you know that Israeli occupation forces tied explosives to the body of an 80-year-old Palestinian man who was forced to clear booby-trapped houses, and once they released him, they shot and killed him and his wife? Did you know that Israeli soldiers were captured on film raping a Palestinian hostage? And when news of this came to light, Israeli far-right politicians and soldiers and ordinary people protested outside of the facility where the soldier was being held.
They won't show you this part here.
Demanding that he be released. And in parallel, the Israeli Knesset engaged in debates on the right of Israeli soldiers to rape Palestinian hostages.
תרלול הזה, שיש מי שבפרקליטות חושב שאפשר לבוא ולעצור חיילים על דברים שעושים למחבלי נוח'בה, לא נגמר. אנחנו לא יכולים להמשיך כרגיל.
להכניס מקל לרקטום של בן אדם, זה לגיטימי?
כן, אם הוא נוח'בה הכל לגיטימי לעשות לו. הכל! הכל!
One of the soldiers who was involved in the rape had a media tour all around Israeli media stations and took off his ski mask and was revered as a national hero by members of Israeli society. Did you know that a young Palestinian boy by the name of Saddam Rajab was killed in the occupied West Bank after an Israeli occupation soldier shot him in the stomach? Even though the evidence is right there.
So, the evidence is there. It's piled up, and there's no excuse whatsoever. And they're going to tell you that they call themselves the people of the Most High. They'll lie to you and say they are the true chosen people, and these supposed to be the Most High's chosen, and that's the question. But we know it's pure wickedness. So let's read these last ones here, just to kind of close this segment out. Go ahead and read that for me, Kifo.
Which imagine mischief in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war.
So David is saying these people imagine mischief in their heart, but continually they are gathering together for war. That's all these wicked heathens do. Now, imagine Genesis chapter 6, verses 5.
And Elohim saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
And that's what these people's hearts are. They're just thinking about ways of killing these people over there, taking the land, and what's the next step? That's the question. Psalms 83 verses 5, how they're continually gathering together for war.
For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
These are internal affairs of the family of Stubbles, the mixture of the Woodwooses, how they get together and they plot and they plan. And it's just an internal fight that's going on right now for power to bring in the beast system. How these people have this mischief going on, Psalms 26 and verses 10.
In whose hand is mischief? And their right hand is full of bribes.
And we're going to see those bribes when we go to the next section, how these people are full of bribes and mischief. First Maccabees 1 and verse 15.
And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathens and were sold to do mischief.
So we are not supposed to join the heathens, Mishpachah. We are supposed to stick with the Torah, depend on the Most High, keep his commandments, because we are living in these last days.